You won't believe how far an HOA will go to ruin your life. I thought I was just dealing with some annoying rules, but it turned into a full-blown war. From ridiculous fines to outright harassment, this HOA president thought she could control everything, even my own yard. But here's the kicker. I found a loophole that made me untouchable. And when I dug deeper, I uncovered something way bigger than I ever imagined. Have you ever had to fight back against an unfair HOA? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more crazy stories. It all started one quiet Tuesday morning. Just like any other. I was sipping my coffee, flipping through the mail, when I noticed something weird. A thick envelope from the HOA. Usually, they just send those passive-aggressive newsletters reminding you to mow your lawn or pay your dues. Nothing worth more than a glance. But this one? This one felt different. I tore it open, and right away I knew something was off. Inside was a massive packet, pages stapled together like it was some kind of official decree from royalty. My first thought? What the hell is this? I mean, I've been living in this neighborhood for 5 years. A nice, quiet suburb where most folks are just trying to enjoy their little slice of peace. Families, retirees. Nothing fancy, just clean and comfortable. Sure, the HOA could be annoying sometimes, but it was mostly harmless stuff. Until now. I skimmed through the rules and wow, it was insane. Cars couldn't be parked in your own driveway overnight. They had to be inside the garage. Lawns needed to be at least 90% uniform grass coverage. No visible weeds, no non-native plants. And then there was the real kicker. Quarterly interior inspections to make sure your house met community standards. Wait, what? They wanted to come inside my house to check if it was up to their standards? I had to read that line about 3 times before it sank in. Who in their right mind thinks they can just waltz into your home and judge how you're living? I knew I couldn't be the only one thinking this was completely nuts. So I grabbed my phone and texted my neighbor, Aaron. "Did you see this HOA nonsense?" I wrote. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed with his reply. "They're not stepping a foot in my house. What are they even smoking over there?" That's when I knew. It wasn't just me. Something was way off. I didn't want to jump to conclusions just yet, but my gut was telling me this was more than just a bunch of new rules. It felt like a power move. A way to push people around and see who would push back. And I wasn't about to sit back and take it. I had to know what was really going on. Because something told me this was just the beginning. The next few days were a whirlwind of confusion and frustration. I couldn't shake the feeling that something shady was going on. I mean, who in their right mind writes up a bunch of insane rules without even talking to the homeowners? So I did what any sane person would do. I sent a polite, straightforward email to the HOA board. Just asking for some clarity, you know? Figured they might explain, maybe even admit they'd gone a little overboard. Nope. Instead, I got a reply from Bella, the self-proclaimed queen of the neighborhood, also known as the HOA president. Her response? Cold. Dismissive. "Thank you for your inquiry," she wrote. "These rules were voted on by the board to ensure consistency and maintain property values. Compliance is mandatory." Mandatory? When did we vote on this? I asked about the supposed vote, and she shot back with some vague nonsense about executive decisions. Yeah. Numbered homeowners. Association boards don't just get to make up rules on a whim. I wasn't about to let this go, but I wanted to be smart about it. So I started talking to my neighbors. That's when things got really weird. Juliana, the retired nurse across the street, hadn't even opened her envelope yet. When I told her what was inside, she almost dropped her coffee. Aaron was furious. Same story. Sophie, the single mom 2 doors down, looked like she was about to cry. Apparently, she'd already been hit with fines before, just for leaving her kids' bikes on the driveway. She was terrified of pushing back, and just when I thought it couldn't get any crazier, I started noticing these little green flags popping up on lawns around the neighborhood. Not every house, just a few here and there. Turns out, those flags marked non-compliant properties. Yeah, they were shaming people into submission. Aaron got flagged, but no one from the HOA had even spoken to him. Just wham! Green flag on his lawn. The whole thing felt like some twisted power play. I knew I had to dig deeper. So I stayed up half the night going through the HOA bylaws. I'm no lawyer, but I'm not an idiot either. And that's when I found it, buried deep in the paperwork from when I bought my house. A little clause, an exemption. My property was grandfathered in, meaning unless I voluntarily opted into new rules, they couldn't enforce anything beyond the original covenants. I was untouchable. I knew I had to test this out. The next day, I parked my old beat-up truck right in my driveway, just begging for a violation. I also went to the nursery, picked up a bunch of wildflowers and native plants, and scattered them all over my front yard. It looked kinda nice, actually. But more importantly, it was completely against their precious new rules. 2 days later, bang. I got a letter in the mail. Violation notice, $150 fine per day, retroactive to the day the plants went in. You've got to be kidding me. I sat down at my computer, grinning like an idiot, and fired off an email to Bella. Dear Bella, I received your violation notice and would like to remind you that my property is exempt from any new HOA rules, as outlined in the purchase agreement. Your fine is not enforceable, and I will not be paying it. If you'd like to discuss this further, I'd be happy to involve my attorney. Regards, Spencer Boom. Sent. But just when I thought the storm had passed, things escalated fast. A few days later, I noticed two guys wandering the neighborhood, clipboards in hand, peering into people's yards like they were hunting for treasure. I watched them stop at Aaron's place, scribble something down, then move on to Sophie's house. They didn't knock, didn't introduce themselves, just stared, wrote, and left. When they finally got to my yard, I stepped outside and made eye contact. Can I help you? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. One of them just glanced at his clipboard and said, Routine compliance inspection. Did you notify homeowners about these inspections? I shot back. He just grunted something about community standards and kept scribbling. No name tags, no HOA identification, nothing. That's when it hit me. They weren't HOA board members. They weren't even residents. They were hired inspectors, working for Bella's little side business. Yeah, turns out Bella ran a community management company on the side and was cashing in by hiring her own people to do these bogus inspections. Oh, and it got worse. I found out she was funneling HOA money into her own pocket through inflated contracts with her brother's landscaping company, charging double the market rate. This wasn't just about keeping the neighborhood tidy. It was straight-up corruption. I knew I couldn't do this alone, so I started gathering allies. Aaron and I went door to door, sharing what we found with everyone willing to listen. I showed them the documents, the invoices, the whole scam. People were livid. The next HOA meeting was going to be epic, and Bella had no idea what was coming. The HOA meeting was like nothing I'd ever seen before. Usually, just a handful of folks showed up, mostly the same old faces, half asleep while Bella droned on about landscaping budgets and holiday lights. But this time, the room was packed. People were buzzing, whispering, clearly ready for a showdown. Bella started the meeting like nothing was wrong, fake smile plastered on her face. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone to keep this meeting respectful and orderly, she chirped. Yeah, like that was gonna happen. Aaron stood up first, calm, collected, and dropped the bombshell. He pulled out copies of the inflated landscaping invoices and pointed straight at Bella. Can you explain why the HOA has been paying your brother's company double the market rate for services? He asked, holding up the paperwork for everyone to see. Bella stammered, tried to blame unexpected expenses, but Aaron wasn't buying it. Then came the real knockout. Proof that Bella's little inspection team was actually her own company, paid with HOA funds to harass homeowners. The room erupted. Juliana, usually the sweetest old lady you'd ever meet, stood up and practically shouted, "You're scamming us! We didn't vote for any of this!" Bella tried to regain control, banging her gavel like she was some kind of judge. "This is inappropriate. We are here to discuss community matters, not launch personal attacks." Yeah, nobody was having it. When it was my turn to speak, I kept it simple. I held up my own violation notice and pointed out how Bella had cited a rule that didn't even exist. Section 7.4. Can you explain that one, Bella? I asked. She just froze. Didn't have a single word to say. Long story short, Bella resigned right there on the spot. Humiliated, defeated. An independent auditor was brought in to go through the HOA's finances with a fine-tooth comb. And, surprise, surprise, more shady dealings popped up. Bella and her brother are now facing legal action, and the new board is making sure we actually have a say in future decisions. I have to admit, it felt good to finally take down that little power tripper. My yard's still rocking the wildflowers, the truck's right in the driveway where it belongs. And the neighborhood? It's finally peaceful again. You ever deal with a crazy HOA or a power-hungry neighbor? Let me know down in the comments. I gotta say, sometimes you just have to stand up and fight back, no matter how exhausting it gets. And hey, if you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss another crazy saga. I've got plenty more stories where this came from. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's next. Catch you in the next one.